we are going to use YouTube and the WhatsApp group, but we do have a Google Classroom. However, I have realized that less students are using Google Classroom now. During the pandemic, they would use it much more, but less people are using it now anyway, right? So I've hit the record button here. Let's make a start. So the first part of the course. Now, I think some of you have a book because I saw Cassie with a book yesterday. So if you have yours, I think this is on page 3. You'll see some definitions. Now, it's the same definitions. So I think I said last night with the book or without the book, you're looking at the same information. In fact, you will soon realize, you might realize it today, in fact, you may realize it today, that the slides actually have more content than the textbook. Yes, right? Normally the slides are written to the syllabus, but an author writes a textbook. So I don't know if you get that, right? The slides are written to the NEBOSH syllabus, but any author could write a textbook, right? So it may be that some things correspond, but the book is not the syllabus, right? There is a defined syllabus for NEBOSH, and that is what the slides follow, right? Let's have a look at this one. So the first class today, we're going to look at, I didn't mention it last night. We are going to look at about 5, 6, 7 definitions. Some of you all would have done this in NEBOSH already. And at the end of some of them, because I wouldn't do it at the end of every one, I would kind of give a hint as to which one is popular for exam, right? So let's have a look at them to try to understand them. Or probably before I begin, I could ask a question from last night. Let me ask a question to kind of get you all to say something a bit. So I'll ask 3 simple questions, right? It's actually raining. I'll show you in a bit, right? In fact, I can show you now, right? Because later on it will get kind of dark, right? So this is outside my window here. This is San Fernando, Trinidad, right? It's not really that bad. If you could see that, it's not that bad, right? I don't know if you could have seen all of that. Yeah, but yesterday was really bad, right? It was actually bad today too, but you know how it is in the Caribbean and South America. Rain falls and then it stops. In England, it's different. When rain is falling in England, it falls for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days without stopping. But the Caribbean is a bit different. The rain starts and it stops anyway, right? All right. Yeah, I was going to ask you also, there's 3 simple questions. Yes, better show you now because you know when it's 6 o'clock, the place again, 6:30 again to that, right? Um, WhatsApp is not really a link. I didn't do it, right? So one of the coordinators at the office did it. So I would have to check tomorrow to see if Shondell didn't get that link, right? I actually didn't do it, right? A coordinator. We have a couple of coordinators at the office. So I'll check in with them tomorrow. But at the end of the class, I can check and see if I could input your number. But no, after the end of my class tonight, I have 2 meetings, right? I don't stop tonight till about 9 o'clock. So I would prefer do this tomorrow. Because I came from work, I have you all. I just came from work. I have you all until 7:30, and then I have 2 meetings tonight. The last one is scheduled to be 7:30 to 9 o'clock. So I will check on this for you tomorrow. If you didn't get the WhatsApp invite, right? Because the video we are posting them there, but you can get them on YouTube too, right? Just in case, I mean, like from last night to tonight, we have a YouTube channel. You could put in Shadrach. I could probably put it for you all. Shadrach Iosh, IOSH. So Shadrach, right? Iosh and YouTube. And you can subscribe. I would see this subscription. What that means is that whenever we post a video, now not all of them would be on this course. We do other courses, as I said last night. That's RACK, right? So Shadrach, Iosh, IOSH on YouTube. And whenever we post a video, not all is relevant to your class. Some of them is process safety, some is a degree. But you'll still see, like Shadrach posted a video. So, you would, at least you still could access free materials anyway for now until we put a stop to that, right? We have a plan to put it on Patreon, but for now, it's on the general YouTube anyway. So please, tonight, if you have not gotten the WhatsApp group and if you feel a bit disadvantaged because of the video, subscribe. Just go to YouTube with Shadrach Ion. You'll get it. Subscribe. So whenever we post a video, you'll be able to see that video anyway. All right, let's make a start. I forget my questions. So my questions was, where is NEBOSH located? Anybody? Where is NEBOSH located?
Leicestershire.
Right, Leicestershire, right? Very good. And I said, if you're into football, check it up. You'll see, like, even if you have PS5 games, Leicester is a football side. Manchester versus Leicester, right? So it's the football team anyway. Well, they're big on their football, right? I mean, Manchester is huge in football, but Leicester also loves their football as well. Next question. What does NEBOSH stands for?
National Examination Board in Occupational Safety and Health.
Very good, right? And you think of one more. Well, a simple one. Well, not too simple, but simple question, but it may be difficult to reach, which is, what is the pass mark for this course? What's the pass mark for this course?
45.
45, right? Okay, if you find I am shouting, it's because the rains have, it came, from what I showed you just now, it actually pouring now, right? So the thing with Zoom is that there's a buffer on the mic. So you all don't hear it, right? So there's a buffer on the Zoom mic for background noise, but you all don't hear it, but I hear it. So sometimes you find the presenter will kind of raise their tone because we are hearing the background noise, but you all don't hear it. You all hear me normally. So I'll try to kind of keep that in mind and not to shout, right? Let's go straight into this definition. So what is health? Health, they say, is the protection of, you can say, the body of the worker and the minds of workers from illnesses resulting from the materials, processes, or procedures used in the workplace. So occupational health is concerned with protecting the body and the mind of workers. So the body piece is easy. You all may have done that, like I said before, at the T-BOSH program. The body part is easy. For example, a hard hat can prevent injuries to your head. A safety glasses or goggles can prevent injuries to the eyes. Your coverall could prevent injuries to your skin. And of course, your proper footwear, your safety boots would prevent injuries to your feet. So health is concerned with, or health and safety is concerned with the protection of workers, the body. But what do they mean by the mind? Because how could a hard hat protect your mind? A hard hat could protect your brain, but it might be able to protect your mind, right? So when they say mind here, what is taken into consideration is that a worker or
Mental
an
health.
individual is not just a physical body there, right? I heard somebody said something. I heard somebody said something recently on YouTube. I look at a lot of motivational videos and stuff, right? So I heard somebody said, so listen to it, right? I'm not interpreting it. I'm just saying how the person said it. The person said, this is my hand. This is my hand. So you could say that for yourself. This is my head. This is my face. These are my eyes. This is my nose. Right? So then the person said, well, then if this is my hand, this is my head, this is my eyes, or these are my eyes, this is my nose. Well, then who am I? If you say this is my hand, well, who am I? Right? So the point here is that you are more than your body, right? So in terms of workers, what does that mean for workers? It means workers are also psychological, right? For example, people come to work really to fulfill more than one reason. That one is a salary, right? But people can come to work for a sense of belonging. A lot of people meet their loved one, or probably their ex-loved one. They met their ex-loved one at a place of work, right? So there are many reasons why people come to work, right? And it's the protection of your body, but also the mind of the worker. For example, if workers work very long hours, then those workers tend to be under fatigue, stress, anxiety, right? So think about this. Good health and safety is not just about protecting the physical form of the person, but it's about making sure that workers are not overworked. It's making sure that workers have adequate lunch periods or rest periods. It's making sure that workers feel value, right? How would you feel if you are always spoken down to? Decisions are always made without you. And then they say, this is how it is. This is how we will do, I was going to call a safety document, but I don't have to call it, right? Or this is how we do the risk assessment. But you were never consulted with to take part in that risk assessment. They said, this is what we want. This is our coverall. This is our uniform, but you were never consulted with, right? So good health and safety is not just about protecting the body, but also making sure that workers are comfortable, they feel value in their place of work, because the opposite is true. If the body alone is taken care of, and then when you go to work, you are stressed out, you only want to leave, right? If another offer comes your way, you would leave. You are not happy. You don't like your supervisor doesn't like you, right? At the end of the day, you are very miserable, right? And good health, because that is health. Health, for example, that may take an effect on your health, your blood pressure, right? Your lack of sleep, insomnia, these things affect your health, right? So depression, right? I mentioned anxiety before, fatigue, right? So good health and safety, see if you understand, good health and safety is about protecting the body, but also making sure that the workers have a say, that their mind is a part of the process to sort of have a good form of a person, both the physical body, but also the psychological person. Do you all understand that? Health and safety. Yeah. In fact, I'm not, but I think I'm sure. I was going to say I'm not too sure. But I think I am sure. And why I'm sure is because you see, Guyana is now getting into the oil and gas. And you all are now getting into the safety part of oil and gas, right? But other countries, and I'll say Trinidad is one, but America is one too. Um, well, Nigeria is one, India is one. Nigeria is the biggest supplier of oil to the United Kingdom, right? But places like the Middle East and stuff then, right? What I'm trying to say is that in some companies, like how you all would just talk about safety. For example, most of the jobs you ever get is what is called a safety job or a HSE job. But the health part of it is going to be ignored, right? For example, when they say they hire an HSE, they really want you to be a safety. The H then is kind of ignored. But in some companies, right, while I was at Massey, for example, there was a focus on health. Folks, you understand, and this is a focus on health. Like we would bring in a speaker to talk about stress. We'll bring in somebody to talk about proper, let's say like investments, right? So the emphasis is not just on safety, but also on the health of the worker, right? Stress management, fatigue management, right? So there are some companies that focus on health and safety, but I think when you now start, as how Guyana is now starting in health and safety, even though the position is said to be health and safety, the health part of it is going to be a bit ignored for now. I'm moving on. Next one. What is safety? Oh, by the way, um, when it rains in Trinidad too, Let me show you back how bad it is now, right? So when it rains in Trinidad, to the internet also gives trouble as well. Right? And we do have power outages as well. So if by any chance you see me, the class has come to an end, it may be because of power outage, but I do have a backup supply. So if by any chance power was to go or internet was to drop, just hang on a bit. I have a backup sort of power supply. The internet box could be connected to that. So I should be up in about 10 minutes time anyway, right? All right, so I'm moving on to safety. Right, let's get to safety. So what is safety? Safety is the protection of people from physical injury. Some say it is the absence of unacceptable risk. I'll explain that one for you in a bit, right? Safety is concerned with the physical and mental well-being of the individual at the place of work. Now, when you read the last one, right? Safety is concerned with the physical and the mental well-being of individuals at the place of work. Well, that sounds like health, because health is the protection of the body and the mind. Body and the mind. And safety is mental and physical and mental. So it's kind of the same thing. And that's why the position is said to be health and safety. And they're kind of related, even though the mental aspect or the health aspect may go overlooked for a while. Because most projects will just want a safety, right? They want a safety person. They're not really going to be studying too much that you are standing there for 8 hours or you are positioned there for 8 to 12 hours. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not standing, probably have a rest period and stuff, right? But the emphasis is more on safety rather than it is on health. But see if you could understand why in the workplace they say health and safety. It's because they are both protecting the same thing. Health is the body and the mind. Safety is the physical and the mental. So it's almost the same thing. Think you understand that a bit? Now, the only one here that has a bit of explanation is the middle one, which is safety is the absence of unacceptable risk. Right? Now, I'm not too sure if you're making notes. This is not really exam. It's just something to explain, right? So what they say is that safety or the concept of safety is a matter of perception. So I don't know if you want to write that down. Safety is a matter of perception and acceptance. Safety is a matter of perception and acceptance. Let me give you an example. I hope it's not a bad example, right? So, or maybe I can talk about Trinidad, right? I will talk about Trinidad a bit. So, in Trinidad and Tobago, well, more Trinidad, Tobago is pretty much safe. Tobago is, if you have gone to Grenada or Barbados, the island of Tobago is like that. A little bit more unfriendly, but the island itself, the physical layout of the island and beaches and stuff, Barbados may have better beaches though, but Tobago has nice beaches as well. Anyway, let's get back to the point. The point is, in Trinidad, and you can think of yourself probably in Guyana too, if you decide to go out in the night, right? Trinidad is high in crime. And of course, there are places in Guyana, there are places in Georgetown that is high on crime as well. I believe today you all had a shooting, was it yesterday or today? I think there was a murder, right? In Guyana, a shooting anyway, right? But gun related, right? Which is kind of strange for Guyana, right? But we have Trinidad has gun related violence every single day, right? Let me give you an idea, right? So like you know there's a war going on with Ukraine and Russia, right? You know there's a war going on in Ukraine and Russia, yeah? Okay. So I was looking at the statistics, right? So like in one weekend, it had about 11 people died in that war, right? In Ukraine and Russia, which is a huge, it's almost like Guyana and, South America. There's a huge piece of land. But in that same weekend, 11 people got shot in Trinidad. But there's no war in Trinidad. That's just a normal weekend in Trinidad, right? So let me get back to the point. So if you decide to go out in Trinidad in the night, you have to accept that risk then, right? So your loved one will tell you, your mom will tell you, somebody will tell you, be careful. You know it's not safe, right? But if you understand this, when you accept the risk, when you say, yes, I know it's not safe, but I'm going out with some friends, right? When you accept that risk in your mind, you think it is safe, otherwise you would not go. Now, in the mind of your parents or your loved one, they will say, well, I still think it's unsafe, but you want to go out with your friends, well, go ahead, right? So you understand that safety is a matter of acceptance. The one who accepts it, to them it is safe. The one who doesn't accept it, they are thinking it's unsafe, right? So safety is a matter of acceptance. Let me give you another example. If you decide to cross the street, of course, Trinidad and Guyana is different. If you decide to cross the street in Trinidad, cars will stop for you, especially if you're like a young lady. Cars will stop for you, right? Everybody will stop for you. Everybody will stop for you. Everybody will stop for you, right? So if you decide to cross the street in Trinidad, that may be seen to be safe. If you decide to cross the street in Guyana, nobody will
Not
stop
in
for you.
Guyana.
Yeah, not even a bicycle, not even the person on the horse with the carriage, nobody stops for you. I know this from experience, right? So crossing the streets in Guyana, you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to be smart. I have crossed the street. I remember I told you yesterday, I walked through Georgetown, right? I don't know all the names of the streets, but I walked up to where KFC is. I walked to where Popeyes is. This is on the same street there with the zoo, where the zoo is located. I walked from where Bakewell, is it Bakewell? Bakewell Bakery. I walked all there every single day, right? But the other thing with Guyana is that you all don't have any sidewalks. Yes, there's something called sidewalks, right? There's actually something around the world called a sidewalk, but you all don't have any sidewalks. So if you're walking in the street, like I said, not even the bicycle, not even, and I'm not talking about the motorbike because the motorbike says, but not even the guy on the bicycle is going to stop for you, right? And so crossing the streets in Guyana is going to be high risk, right? So you have to know what you're doing. Like if you are slow on your feet, then to you, then you should say that that risk is unacceptable. Like you wouldn't be walking around Georgetown then because that risk is unacceptable, right? So that's what I say. It's a safety is a matter of acceptance, right? You think you understand it a bit? So for something to be safe, then in your mind, there must be less risk, which is why you can go out in the night, right? Or you can cross a busy street, right? So safety in some way is a matter of acceptance. I say in some way because just now, before the class finish, we're going to see how to assess the risk out of a hazard. And for those who know that already, because some of you did NEBOSH, it's assessed out of um, a scale out of 1 to 25. The higher you get to 25, it's going to be said to be high risk. And if something is high risk, but it is unsafe, and the lower numbers you get in a scale of 1 to 25, if you get like number 1, number 2, number 3, well, that's low risk. And if it's low risk, it is perceived to be safe. Hear what I said? It's perceived in your mind. You think it is safe because the number is smaller. So safety is actually a matter of perception, right? You can probably use other examples. Maybe you can think about your workstation, or you can think about maybe your task at work until you it's safe because you have been doing it. You have been doing it for the last 5, 6, 7 years, right? 10 years. somebody like me, if I was to come in, I may see you doing manual handling, and I would say, but that's unsafe, right? So I don't accept what you are doing because to me, I know a bit more. So to me, it seemed to be unsafe. But to you, you are picking up your boxes, you are picking up your goods, you are picking up, you are taking up your equipment by hand, right? Your back is not straight. And to you, you have always been doing that. So to you, it's safe. So in that sense, and two persons could see the same thing, and for one of them, it is safe. For one of them, it is seen to be unsafe, right? So safety is a matter of perception. All right, next definition. Again, those in the book is the same three definitions. We have what is welfare. So this is an easy one. Welfare is the provision of facilities to maintain the health and well-being of individuals at the workplace. It includes washing and sanitation arrangements, the provision of drinking water, heating, lighting, etc. So, I mean, just a long story short, anything here that goes towards your well-being could be classed under welfare. So if you want, I could shout some more for you. They don't come for exam. They do not come for exam. But welfare also includes like a microwave, right? A facility to cool your food, like a refrigerator, right? So you don't see that here, but a microwave, a facility to heat your food, to cool your food, hand sanitizers, right? We kind of came out of the pandemic there, right? There is a virus going around. It isn't as bad as COVID-19 though, right? Trinidad here, we have a lot of people getting, ill, but it's not affecting the lungs. COVID-19, what made it so deadly was that it would affect the lungs, right? And then that is, of course, what you use of breathing. But, I mean, that idea, and you all went through lockdown 2020, 2021. So hand sanitizers, washing facilities, the temperature guns, all of those things that we use, all of those things would have been classed under welfare, right? Okay, tell me if you're okay with these three. So these are the three from the textbook: health, the protection of the body and mind; safety, the protection of the physical and the mental. And so, like some of the other things we said in safety, that safety can be a bit subjective. Somebody could say, well, this is safe to go out. And somebody can say, your parents can say it's not safe. And the same thing in the workplace. A worker may think, like the way he's using that forklift or the way you're picking up, a piece of equipment is the way it always was, right? Like you don't need proper footwear, a slipper in your foot is okay. So to you, you are thinking, well, a slipper in my foot is okay. But why are the oil companies now, why it is Exxon and all the contractors asking for a full coverall? Why must I put on this hard shoes in my foot? The shoes is not hard, by the way. If you get a good fitted shoes, steel tip shoes are very comfortable. Very, very, even more comfortable than, I have some Nike, some Jordans, and sometimes the safety shoes is more comfortable if you have like the Red Wing brand. Red Wing is very comfortable, right? Caterpillar is very heavy, but kind of comfortable. Caterpillar is a brand of shoes as well, right? But if you get a good one, it's very comfortable, right? So, we're saying welfare then includes all of those things anyway: drinking water, washrooms, heating, lighting, hand sanitizers, microwave, refrigerators, eye wash stations could be in that too. If there's a risk of a chemical going in your eye, the eye wash station is also classed under welfare. Tell me if you're okay with these three, because these three do not come for exam. But like I said, today, you see, today is your first class, even though some of you may have done this in NEBOSH. Today is your first class, and we have to build some work. It probably will take us Monday or until Monday. So maybe Tuesday, we could open a pass. I'll open one tonight again, just to keep us in focus. Remember, The difference between NEBOSH and NEBOSH is vast, right? The difference between a local course and a global course is vast, right? And what is vastly different is that I cannot pass you. So I cannot do anything for you other than coach you like a coach. But then at the end of the night, as we did last night, you have to go in that ring and box. You have to go in that crease and bat. You have to go in the court and, hit down or try to put down two, a couple of, pointers or a 3-pointer. But it's up to you at the end then. After you're being coached, it's up to you. So we always need to look at past papers. Always. Right? There could never be a class where we don't talk about past papers. Not in this course. Or not in any NEBOSH course, because all NEBOSH courses have exams. Right? All right, so we're going ahead, right? So are you all okay? Or you all didn't answer this? So are you all okay with health, safety, and welfare? So we can go on to some more definitions. Are you all okay? Cassie, Nikita, Delano.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yes. Okay, good. I have Onisa as well on screen. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So those are the book. You will not see these. You'll not see these in your book. But it's there. It's just not chapter 1. It's actually chapter 3. Right? So what you can do is look at this slide because it's not as if you have to find it. You have found it. It's actually on this slide. Right? It doesn't get any better than that anyway. It's on this slide. Same information presented. But if you want, you can take a note, chapter 3, those of us with the books. It's the same thing. So you can't say you're waiting in your book to find the definition of accident. You have found it. It's looking at you, right? So let's move on. All right, so this one too is not too famous, but this one is running up. This one is laying the foundation, then, like for what is a hazard, right? So we come into the two best ones is at the end anyway. All right, so what is an accident? An accident is any unplanned event that results in injury or ill health of people or damage or loss to property, plant, material, or the environment, or a loss of a business opportunity. Right? So please remember, it's an open book exam. It's an open PowerPoint exam. You could use your PowerPoints, but from what you saw last night, remember what I said last night? The exam is not to say what is an accident. It's not. NEBOSH is smarter than that. Right? So they're not going to ask you what is. So do not worry about the definition. You could open your PowerPoints to find the definition, but they're not going to ask you what is an accident, right? They may ask what is the causes of an accident? What are the individual causes of the accident? That's a question. But they're not going to ask you what is an accident. Like I said, today is the first day. It's a runner-up to kind of lay the foundation for deeper studies anyway, right? Anyway, back to this definition. Let's try to understand it a bit. An accident is anything that is unplanned, right? So the idea here is that no correct thinking person would plan to have an accident. An accident is anything that is unplanned. I just saw a huge lightning. So I don't know if I will hear that because I know the buffer takes it off, but the thunder that follows now. Anyway, an accident is anything unplanned. And I was saying no one plans to have an accident. Like you don't get up in the morning and say, I plan to sever my finger today. At least if you're right thinking, nobody gets up and say, well, I plan to, God forbid, I plan to crash my car today. No, I mean, nobody does that. And people may do that, but they may need a bit of, like counseling then if somebody thinks like that, right? Mental health, of course, is a serious issue. But, no balanced person then, right? No healthy person, right? The health is described as physical, mental, and social well-being. So no right-thinking person would plan to have an accident, right? So an accident is anything that is unplanned and the outcome is never good. There is no good outcome from an accident. pain-wise, right? There's always an injury, damage to property. If it's an environmental spill, a chemical spill, right? You may end up losing a tender. So immediately, I don't think there's any good benefit of an accident, right? But I mean, I suppose in the grand scheme of the universe,
What if you accidentally find some money for the road?
if you
Still an
accidentally find,
accident. Some money on the road is still an accident.
well, that may not be classed as an accident because you see, by definition, it have to have a negative outcome. So for you, it's a positive outcome, right? So I don't think that's an accident. That may be what you call fortune, right? So fortune that you are lucky. You know what somebody told me as you said accident? Remember, I have students in Guyana, right? You please don't laugh, huh? I'm telling you what a student told me, right? A student, his name is Nevin. So you know he's a real student. The student told me he saw, no, I don't know which part of Guyana this is. It could have been in Berbice or something, or I'm not quite sure. He said he saw two men fighting. One of them took a bow and arrow and um, you know, shot the other one with the bow and arrow. I mean, I suppose that is an accident. I mean, that sounds, I mean, who would plan to do that? Who would plan to shoot somebody with a bow and arrow, right?
Any
I would
Amerindian
want to
tribe.
believe that's an accident. It may be willful, but the person ended up dying, and maybe that part of it was an accident because maybe you didn't intend to kill the person. That's still involuntary manslaughter, though, right? So I don't know if you all saw that in your news, but this wasn't too long ago, less than a month. This a student of mine told me about that, right? Anyway, so accidents are always unplanned. I was thinking when Cassie said it, I was thinking, I was saying in the grand scheme of the universe, then, right? That some things happen for a reason. I mean, we don't understand, I guess, the will of God sometimes, but in terms of safety, then, well, God is another big lightning struck. As soon as I said God, God, God is kind of outside of the sphere of discourse now, right? I should probably watch my words tonight. But what I'm saying is that that like things have a grander purpose sometimes now, right? So who am I to say there's nothing good about an accident? But in terms of health and safety, I would say by definition, and not really from that universal perspective, but really from a safety perspective, that there is nothing good coming out from an accident, right? Let's leave that there because it will tend to get into philosophy if I go into that more, right? Let's go to the next one. So we have what is a near miss. A near miss, this is an incident that could have resulted in an accident. I read it like that because a lot of people mix them up, right? So like they say, okay, like we had an incident or we had a near miss. Well, an incident is really like a near miss. An incident is not an accident. Take a getting it. Some people say, look, a worker had an incident, he fell down. Well, if he fell down and he broke his hand, or that's not an incident. He really had an accident. An incident is a near miss. A near miss. This is an incident that could have resulted in an accident, but it didn't. You saved yourself, right? So it is like someone walking and the person slipped, but they did not fall. They got back their balance, right? Now, if you're reporting that, let's say you're reporting that to your friend, right? So when you get to your work, you are relating to your friend or you message somebody, I almost fell today. Now, if you almost fell, what you had there was a near miss because it's not an accident. It could have, you say, I could have fallen, right? But you didn't. And that's called a near miss. You think you understand that, folks? A near miss, some people refer to it as an aborted accident. A near miss is like an aborted accident. All the conditions were there, right? All the conditions were there for you to have an accident. But by luck and chance, you said your prayers, speaking of God again. So you said your prayers, and you didn't have the accident. So something fell, a pipe fell right by your feet, a huge piece of pipe. If it had been any other way, you would have been dead. You had a near miss, right? It could have resulted in an accident, right? And God forbid this example too. Just using this. So like, you see a car cross the roadway and coming in your direction. You are driving as well. So you think to yourself, this driver is going to hit me, right? But you are a good driver. You maneuver out of the accident and you avoid the accident by a couple of inches, right? When you are relating that story, when you get home safely, of course, right? When you're relating that story, you would say, I almost made an accident tonight. A car almost collided with me. And again, if that's the case, what you had there was a near miss, right? Let me keep reading. So knowledge of near misses is very important, as research has shown that approximately for every 10 near miss events at a particular location in the workplace, a minor accident will occur. All right, I'll just stop here for a reason. But the reason is not too much exam. The reason is real life, right? So folks, you all know, yes, you have to pass the exam to get an NEBOSH cert. But there are some stuff that is real life as well, right? So this is one of them. So in the companies that you would end up working for, see if you understand what I'm going to tell you now, right? A lot of the companies, they would have you record the near misses. Let me just try to draw something here for you, right? They have you record the near misses. So what's a near miss? A near miss is what we said. A near miss is something that could have resulted in an accident, right? So what a lot of companies do, you may wonder what does a triangle have to do with this, right? So a lot of companies have you record the near misses, right? So for the month, you could have 100 near misses. What's a near miss? I just give you some examples, right? A near miss is anything that could have caused an accident, right? And anybody, I know some of y'all working in safety here, right? So what the companies do, they have like a card. If you don't know this, please take it down. This is not exam, but this is reality. They have like a card. It's sometimes called a stop card, S-T-O-P, right? And this is the most common one, S-T-O-P, something called a stop card. And it is like, I don't know if you all have ever seen it. I may have one, but to go look for it, I'll just take, it's like a card. It literally is like a card like this. This is a sheet of paper full, right? So it's a pocket card, and in it, it would have like, a space for you to put your name and for you to record in it any near miss that you saw. And then these cards, if it's a physical card, it's sent back to the safety person, right? Now, some companies, because I don't know where you will end up, some companies have an intranet. They have where you can log on the company intranet and you can just log it right there. You can log the incident right there. You can log the near miss right there, and an alert is sent to the safety, who will be well informed that there is a near miss, right? So I'm not too sure if you get what I'm trying to tell you here. Like if you wait for an accident then for the month, this is for 1 month, right? If you wait for an accident, you're probably not going to get any. The reason for the triangle is that the triangle shows you that there are more incidents, there are more near misses when compared to an accident. If you're waiting for an accident for the month to do something, well, what if for that month you had no accidents, which is good, right? But the near misses, see if you understand, the near misses is an indicator to tell you that something is going wrong. For example, that same example I used where the person slipped, right? So if that slip was investigated, they may find out, well, there is water. There is water crossing the pathway where the workers, have to enter the building. Well, where is the water coming from? It's coming from the AC units, right? When the AC technicians run the drain pipes, they just stop at the end of the building. So the AC water drips across the floor. If it was oil, you understand what I'm getting at, folks? If you investigate near misses, so this is your job. This is what I'm telling you. This is if you investigate near misses, you have a chance of preventing a full-fledged accident. See if you see that. If you investigated the near misses stage, right? Why did the pipe fall? Remember I said a pipe fell by somebody's foot. But why did it fall? Where did it come from? It couldn't come from space. It probably could have, but I mean, if it came from space, it probably would have burned up a port re-entry, right? But where did the pipe come from, right? So did it fall from a scaffold? Did it fall from a height? Why did it fall from the height? Was it not secured? Is it that on the height, it's so packed out? And if it's so packed out, well, then maybe we should move some stuff from on top there, right? So at the incident level or at the near miss level, you all see the beauty of this one. At the incident level, you have a chance then to prevent a full-fledged accident and, God forbid, a death in the long run. So you understand this, folks? You're always going to get more incidents than accidents, right? And at the incident level, you have a chance to be proactive. I don't know if you want to write that down. At the incident level, you have a chance of being proactive. Why are you being proactive? Because at the near miss level, there is no injury. It could have resulted in the accident. So the best place to investigate is at the near miss level. I just put in the letter N here. You'll agree to that? The best place to investigate is at the near miss level. Not to wait for the death, not to wait for the accident. Don't wait for the accident to investigate. At that stage, it's too late. Somebody is seriously injured, or worse yet, somebody is killed. Somebody is seriously injured, or God forbid, somebody is killed, and you are the safety. They hired you to be the safety, and you seeing things. You seeing a man walking and slipping. You seeing pipes falling, and you are saying nothing, right? It's your job, right? So, I said I couldn't say everything last night. One of the things with this field, safety is a noble field. You all know that? Not a lot of jobs could give you that satisfaction there. Like in safety, you could actually save somebody's life by what you doing could save somebody's life right? If you stop an unsafe job, even if the person don't like you would have saved that person, right? Safety is a noble field, right? Last that I mentioned, later on, you all can probably go and do a first aid course. I have one, right? And if somebody has any breathing difficulties, you could administer first aid. You could be that link between the person and a healthcare provider, and you could save that person's life. At least you try, right? At least you try. So safety is a noble field, right? It's not just crunching numbers then. It's not just behind the desk. That's why I like it, right? Yesterday I told her that, here I'm sitting. So safety is kind of multifaceted, right? It's like you could sell safety supplies as a business person, right? You could lecture in safety. But then there is the part of it that we are not sitting behind a desk whole day. An accountant, no offense to any accountant here. A CSR, no offense to any CSR here, have to sit behind a desk whole day. If they move, they would not be seen to be in their duty there. If the accountant gets up, and where is the accountant? Where is the CSR, right? But safety, we can move. If we move about, we are seen to be doing our job. If we get up and we take a walk, right? If we go out in the field, right? The safety is dynamic. To me, it's both ways. You do have the days when you sit by your desk to get your risk assessments done, but then you are dynamic because you can move about from one location to another location, right? So there's a lot of good things about safety. Of course, the salary is good, but and the career is good. But I think from last night I said too, and even tonight, that there's a noble aspect of safety, right? I can give you two short stories. I just give you two short stories, right? A good and a bad, a good and a bad. So I had someone that passed away right in my hands. A worker. I did my best. I did CPR. I did compressions. I did everything until the emergency, well, the ambulance, as we say then in Trinidad, if you all say the same thing, right? Until the ambulance came to take them to the hospital. I did. Now, there's a certain part of doing CPR when you know that you have lost the person. Huh? There's a certain, if you're doing CPR for 3, 4, 5 minutes and the person not responding, there are certain body signs as well, which I don't want to go into here now anyway, right? But I kept on doing CPR because the lady's son was a lady that passed away. Her son came. We're all waiting for the ambulance, but I kept on doing what I was doing, but I know she had passed away, you know? So at least if you're in that position now that you did your best. Tell you two short stories, right? So one of them good, one of them bad. So another one I remember going to a beach in Trinidad here. And somebody called my name and the person ran from wherever they was, a crowd of persons, ran through a crowd, came and met me and came and hugged me. And when I looked at the person, it was somebody that I also had done CPR on a time, way back when. I can't even remember her name because this is like long ago, but she remembered me. So what I'm saying is that your job then, safety, you think you're ready for that? You think you're ready for, everybody looks at it for the money. Everybody looks at the money. But do you know that you are a line of defense? You are a doctor, even though you don't have a doctorate. You are a manager, even if you probably have never studied business. You are a manager. You can get up and walk from your seat, right? Do you know as a safety, you have power over the CEO of your company? Yes or no?
That's
Do you,
nice.
yeah, if your CEO is doing something wrong, you could tell him, come down from there. Nobody has the power to talk to the CEO like that. Nobody has the power to talk to a director like that. If you do an alarm, if you do a drill, right? If your company is doing a drill and the manager is in the office, you have to tell them, get out of the office. No one has the power to talk to the directors like that, right? So safety is a very noble field. It's a very nice field. And of course, like I said, yes, the money is good. But beside the money, there's a lot of other good things about safety, right? A lot of good things about safety. Plus, a lot of people meet their loved one in the safety field anyway, right? So you can never tell, right, where you all would end up. All right, let's move on. Anybody taking this down? This is what we call an accident ratio triangle. You'll see this later in the course, more like chapter 3, chapter 4. But hopefully you understand that if you wait for an accident, you probably will be waiting in vain, right? I don't want to wait in vain, Bob Marley. I think that's Bob Marley, right? So like, so you can't wait in vain then. You can't wait whole month. Where is the accident? What am I doing as a safety? No, investigate in near misses, because by investigating in near misses, you can prevent a catastrophe. All right, let's move on. Exam-wise, I said today, you see I'm shaking my head, right? There's not too much of questions as yet. Remember, we are still on definitions, but you see how deep the definitions are. So you can imagine the rest of the course. NEBOSH is that. I told you last time, NEBOSH is very deep in terms of what they do anyway, right? All right, next one. The next one here is something called a dangerous occurrence. right? A dangerous occurrence. So a dangerous occurrence is an EMS. Let's take a time and try to understand that. A dangerous occurrence is an EMS. And what that means, so could I ask you all to see if you're following? If a dangerous occurrence is an EMS, right? Did anybody get hurt in this? If you say it's a dangerous occurrence, did anybody get hurt in it? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
No.
No.
Because a
No.
dangerous it is an EMS. It could have, watch it here, could have led to serious injury or loss of life. So what's the difference? But what's the difference between a dangerous occurrence and an EMS? Well, the answer is this. A dangerous occurrence is like a serious near miss. Like if you slip on the office floor, you may not die from that. So that's a normal near miss, right? If your feet is entangled in a cord at a flat surface, you may not die from that. So that's a normal near miss, right? But there is a class of near misses then. If you want to take it down like that, there's a class of near misses called dangerous occurrences. And this is a class of near miss that if it had happened, you wouldn't be here anymore, right? So it's like a vehicle overturning. It's something serious, it's something major, and it's something big. It's like a crane collapsing, right? But if you read the definition, let's try to put that into context. It's like a crane collapsing, but nobody's on the crane, which is why it is a near miss. You think you understand it? I'll say it again. A dangerous occurrence is an EMS, which means nothing happened. So if we say the crane collapse or the scaffold collapse, nobody is on it, because if somebody was on it, they would have died. And if they died, God forbid, of course, if they got seriously injured, it would have been classed as a what? If somebody was injured, if you have the injury, that is called a what? Look at on this slide.
An accident.
Yeah, an accident, right? So if it did not happen, well, the scaffold came down, but nobody was on it. It was Sunday. Nobody's working on Sunday. Just making that up, right? Or I'm trying to think of some for you, like even a forklift driver, you know, if a forklift was to tilt over, even an excavator, you all know that? Even an excavator, right? If an excavator was to collapse, the cab of the excavator, the frame then is meant to take the weight of the excavator. So you may wonder, well, how do people die in those things? Well, people die because they jump out of the excavator. If they stay in the excavator cab, the cab is meant to take the weight of the excavator if it was to roll over. I don't know if you know that. A lot of times, excavator drivers, if the excavator is going down, they will jump out. Or when they jump out, well, the excavator falls on them. But if they stay in the cab is meant to take the weight of the excavation or the excavator, right? So if we say a forklift was to overturn and the person stayed in the cab, well, nothing will happen to them. They will come out, nothing will happen to them because the cab is meant to take the weight of that collapse. That's how it's designed anyway, right? So that's like a dangerous occurrence, right? Because if the person had jumped out, they think could have crushed them, right? So it could have, in my example, I would say the person stayed in the cab, CAB, they stayed in the frame then, in the cab of the excavator or the forklift. So therefore, nothing happened to them, right? So there's a serious near miss. They could have died, but it didn't because they did the right thing anyway, right? Let's move on. So these two now, these are the two most common ones for your exam, right? Now, some of these are be examined via a project, right? As I mentioned, you have a NEBOSH project to do. And the NEBOSH program did a fair job at setting up the project for you all, right? But the project is in chapter 3. If anybody did NEBOSH, like I said, it's very similar. The only difference again is that it's a UK person marking it really. Much of it is the same because Robert has this year, in fact, this is the first year I think he started to do that. he has closely mimicked the NEBOSH project in preparation for his students moving on to do NEBOSH, right? Yes, Delano, yes, question? You want to share with the class?
Yes. So going back to your example, where you say the crane collapsed, isn't the
Yeah.
crane collapsing damage to property, which in
Yes,
itself
that,
is
yeah,
an
I mean,
accident?
yeah, it is. But if you check it in, yes, in that sense, it is an accident. But by definition, if you relate it to workers, then, right, you can say the worker had a dangerous occurrence. The crane, of
Okay.
course, is damaged. So you can say, yeah, that it was an accident, but the worker experienced a dangerous occurrence. They could have had a serious injury or loss of life, right?
Understood.
The best way to tell you that, I don't know if I told you last night, companies have ways of hiding information, right? You know, like a company may put on the board or on their statistics, 0 accidents. But that's because they hide the accident under another category, like property damage. But they don't publish the property damages. They just publish we had 0 accident. You understand? So for Delano, what they are doing, they are separating the injuries to the person, to the damage to the building, right? Whenever you see a company has 0 accidents, don't ever believe that. Don't ever believe that. They are hiding it, right? So they separate the injury from the property damage. That is what may be happening there. In terms of a dangerous occurrence, the equipment cannot have a dangerous occurrence because this have to do with loss of life. So you can say the worker had a dangerous, occurrence because he could have lost his life. But here we have property damages. So you have a dangerous occurrence, but you also have property damage. Think you get it a
Understood.
bit?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's just that companies are creative in hiding information. I don't know if you all are that safety minded as yet. You probably will get there. Like a lot of companies,
That's
they
my experience when you get into the field and get into working with it, then you'll see it more often than and understand what you're in. I
yeah,
get where you're coming from. I understand it.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And some companies, because of their clients now, like you may be a contractor with Exxon and you don't want to publish you had 5 accidents in 1 week. So they hide it in other like headings then. One of them, I don't know if you want to take it up, one of them is actually something called restricted work cases. Restricted work cases where somebody is injured, but they don't even put it as an accident, they put it as a restricted work case. Restricted work means you come to work even if you have an accident and they put you on light duty or administrative duties there. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever experienced that? Anybody? So they will put a person on administrative duty. The person goes around if they're mobile, if they can walk with a piece of paper or a clipboard, and they record what the other workers are doing. So you on work. We had an accident, but you're on work. So in a way, they don't say we had 5 accidents. They say 0 accident, but it's hidden up. Property damage goes under property damage. This goes under dangerous occurrence. And then if you're back on work, but you can't work what you was doing before, you can't, like you're not doing the same task, they'll put it under restricted work cases. So don't ever believe 0 accidents, right? That is a big lie. But companies are smart. I don't know if you all reached that stage as yet, but they do it for clients because if you put a high number of accidents, a client may decide, Exxon may decide not to do business with you anymore, right? All right, what is a hazard? So some of you all may have done this one. What is a hazard in the NEBOSH program? If not, it's right here. We're gonna cover it now. I'm gonna add to it a bit, but I'm gonna try to finish the second one as well. In fact, I should probably read the both of them and then explain, right? So a hazard is the potential of a substance, person, activity, or process to cause harm. I'll read it one more time. A hazard is the potential The potential, the potential. What does that mean? When you look at a child and you say the child has the potential to be a doctor, the child has the potential to be an engineer, or the
The
child has a
ability
Part
potential
of the
to, or
the
ability.
the
ability.
answer.
But is the child a doctor already? Is the child a doctor already?
No.
No.
Not as
So
yet.
check this out. So check this out, right? When you say fire is a hazard, has a fire occurred? The answer is no, right? You say a worker is smoking next to a barrel of diesel. So you say that's a hazard, right? The forklift is speeding, or the vehicles are coming in and out of the compound. There's no signage, there is no speed bumps. So somebody like me, I would say that's a hazard. You come on a site in Guyana, I'm talking about, and you see workers with slippers, and you say, well, that's a hazard. But has anybody been injured? Probably not. But it have the potential. Think you understand that? So listen to this, huh? Listen to this carefully. We come into something on your project. So you don't have to wait for a fire to say fire is a hazard. You don't have to wait for somebody to get back pains to say, well, they're using poor man handling techniques. You don't have to wait for a chemical then to splash or to get into somebody's skin to say that chemical is a hazard, right? It's all about the potential. Think you understand that? So if that is true, watch me with this, and if that is true, what that means is this. What that means is that everything around you right now is a hazard. It means these hazards is right home by you right now, right? Your laptop
You
is
said that,
connected. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. You said that this is going to come for your exam?
Yeah, I comment on what coming for exam just now. Yeah, I'll tell you the truth and I'll write it on the slide. Anything important, I actually write on the slide, right? So we're trying to understand what is a hazard. So the electrical socket that your laptop or your device is connected to, right? There's a hazard, there's a potential for you getting what? From the electrical
Electrical
socket.
shock.
Yeah, but does it happen? No, it doesn't happen, but it still is a hazard, right? So I don't know if you want, do you want to write the word electrical for me? I'll tell you the part about the exam just now, right? But write down about 3 for me, write down electrical, right? As I was saying, the chair you're sitting on right now, or if you're on a bench or your bed or whatever have you, right? That has the potential for causing back pain. We refer to that as ergonomics. I can spell out one for you. ER, you can spell electrical for yourself, right? So ergonomics, ERGONOMICS, right? Ergonomics. So that's a second hazard. Now, do you get the back pain? Probably not as yet, right? Do you feel the discomfort? Maybe, right? Because you're getting into an hour that we hear more than an hour anyway now, right? So, you know, the chair you're sitting on, the bench you're sitting on, the bed you're sitting on, there's always going to be an ergonomic hazard, right? So that's 2. Let's talk about maybe lighting. So the lighting is good. Lighting is good, hopefully, but there are things about light. It could be that there is a glare on your screen. The computer light itself, the glare from your screen. So lighting is a hazard, right? Once there is a potential for injury, it is a hazard, right? So listen the part for exam now. Well, not really exam, the project. But Cassie, you know this already. At least you probably would know this already, right? So for your project, which is in chapter 3, not today, today is your first day. But as we cover this now, I could kind of, we could forecast something on your project. So for your project, you have to get 10 hazards. How much you had to get in NEBOSH? Was it
10.
right? 10 as well. I tell you, Robert is mimicking the NEBOSH project, right? So you have to get 10 hazards, right? So I don't want anyone to say so much. 10 is a lot. No, it's not. Because anything could be a hazard, right? Once it could cause harm, it is a hazard. You don't have to debate it. You understand? If you say speeding is a hazard, then speeding is a hazard. If you say dust is a hazard, well, then dust is the hazard. Once there's the potential to cause harm, it is classed as a hazard. So for this reason, you don't really get the hazards wrong then. You don't really get the hazards wrong because NEBOSH don't give you it wrong. If you say fire is a hazard, well, they don't really contest that. It's whatever you say is a hazard. If you say two workers were making noise or there's a machine making noise, noise is a hazard. If you really could take some down, we had 3 before, but you could write a bit more. I could give you 5 now. I know we said more than 5 already, right? Because we had electrical, we had ergonomic. What again was the third one we had? I forgot.
Lighting.
Lighting, very good.
Lighting.
Lighting, yes, okay, lighting, good. So, and you can make up your own category. So fire is a hazard. Once there is a potential for harm, they're not going to debate it, right? Once there's a potential for harm, you get it correct anyway. So to get 10 hazards is easy because today is your first class and we get 5 already, right? Fire and was another one I said noise. Noise is a hazard, right? If anybody was using like a noisy drill coming out of noise too, or that same drill, you can get vibration. Vibration is also a hazard, right? If a forklift driver or a truck driver is driving a vehicle for a long time, right? Sitting in the seat is vibrated. Vibration is a hazard. There is no shortage of hazards then. In other words, once you are alive, hazards are around you, right? Okay, so if you want to end this discussion here, I'll end with a positive note here. I mean, other than 10 being easy to get, right? So I want you all to write this down. I hope you all have a notebook or something, yeah? Anyway, it's not if last time we'll be hearing it, I'll be saying it all the time. Right? But here it is, right? Here it is, right? Here it is. Right? NEBOSH, they give you a list of hazards to choose from. You are given a list. Remember last time they said you are given a sample? Yeah, you are given a sample of the project. They do one, not me, NEBOSH do a project and they give you it as a sample. And they give you a list to choose from too. They give you a list with about 30 hazards and you have to choose 10 from that list. How could you get that wrong? Well, you only get it wrong if you didn't write down what I just said. I'll say it one more time. If you wonder, where am I going to get 10 hazards from? The first thing I said is that you can just choose whatever could cause harm. Fire, noise, vibration, electricity. You could use this for your final too, right? However, if you don't want, you find that's too much of stress, there's a published list. NEBOSH give you a list. I call it, what do I call it? I think we call it the bank, right? You are given a bank of hazards. You don't have to choose all because the bank have more than 30 in it. You just have to choose 10. So how could you mess that up? Not much Guyanese mess it
So
up. A lot of Trinidadians just mess it up though. Yes, go ahead.
finding the hazards are quite easy, but it's the classification of the hazards that you're finding. That was a bit.
Yeah, well, I would walk the class through. It's not that difficult because they don't really contest. Well, maybe Robert didn't give you all the lists. I suspect that is what happened because last night you said that he didn't give you all the sample. But if you are given a sample and you are given a list, well, the classification is actually the list. Like, how do you know it's fire? Well, because you see something or you can imagine something in your workplace that could cause fire. How do you know it's noise? You could see something, you could imagine that it's a generator making noise. So in a way, the classification is not that difficult. Please remember too, we do look back at your draft before it is sent to NEBOSH. Remember I said last night, you have the sample, you have the class, then we look at your draft, right? So nobody here have any reason to fail. You only fail if you don't hand up a draft, right? Now, the last class I had, remember, till the day they finished last week, everybody handed up a draft. Everybody handed up a draft, right? So when you hand up a draft, we look at it and you get it back to fix it. how could you fail? How could you fail, right? You can't. You're not supposing to, right? You're not supposing to fail, right? Only if, but we do have some students, I would say, like, I mean, to be honest, it's Trinidad where they don't hand up a draft, right? So what they finally hand up is what we have to submit. I did say last night, Guyana pass rate, if you separate it from Trinidad, but even if you add it, the top students are still from Guyana, right? It's not a Guyana class, but the top students is Guyana. But you know, we don't have much trouble with the Guyana students. The last class that I finished last week, I told you this last night. Some of their projects had two things to fix in it. You really had to read and find something. Trinidad students, I don't know if they just don't listen in Trinidad. We say NEBOSH give you a sample and a list, you know, some students would not use it. I had a man that failed, his name was Caver, right? This is Trinidad, right? I said, so you didn't use the sample? He was like, what sample?
Trinidadians generally seem like corruption.
He's a safety today. Now that's how, I mean, some of these students, we become very close. I like Robert, you know, we become very close. So he went back and he had to do it over and he did it over and he passed. And he was like, oh, that's what that was. But if you're not in class, right? If you're not in class, why don't you look back at the recording, right? If you're not in the live, look back at the recording. You know, a lot of people tell me they play the audio, like you put it on. No, it's too early. This is your first class. But coming up to the end, like if you're doing the project, right? Remember, I have a class on the project. I was teaching you here, line by line. You see what's happening today, line by line. That's how I teach the project, you know, line by line. So why not play over the recording, stop it, write your first paragraph, play it again, stop it, write it. Why not do that? But a lot of guys are doing it because I said, overall, by the way, it's not just me at the school. You all know that, right? I mean, well, you always see me because it's Zoom, right? But we have other lecturers at the school, and Mr. Ticker is one of them. And when we look at these things, like when we look at some of the Guyana students in the last class, we struggle to find things that was wrong. And that's simple because they follow the sample, they follow the example, right? But not a lot of Trinidadians are coming close to that. But here's what, you do your course, you get your job, you get your career, because it's about you now anyway, right? You know, that's what it is. You all have a greater opportunity now. Remember with your NEBOSH too, not that I'm trying to take away from Guyana, right? But remember with your NEBOSH, you can go to the UK now. You all don't need a visa to visit the UK. You can apply for jobs in England. You can apply for jobs in Dubai, in Qatar, right? The money is way much more than what you all are making now in Guyana, right? I actually have a student. I could show him another day, right? I try to remember his name. I have him on my phone, you know. Anyway, a long story short, he is a Trinidadian. He went to Guyana and he said he came upon a company in Guyana that was taking Guyanese and Caribbean people to work in England, right? The name Alonso come into my brain, but I don't think it's Alonso,
What's the
right?
name of that company?
I don't know. I'll have to message him, right? But he got through and he's in the UK. And well, I don't know the difference. I could tell you how much he's working for in Trinidad. He said he's getting 100,000, over 100,000 TT dollars. Now, if you multiply that by 30, because the exchange rate is about 30 to 1, right? So you multiply that's about, is that about $3 million? I don't have to more than that. I don't have my phone. I have my phone, but I put it to charge, right? But that's how much he's working for, right? I'll try to check it here for you all. I used to teach maths, so that's kind of sad that I don't know that. But that I was to teach maths more than 20 years ago. So I have a good excuse. So 30 by 100,000. So that is $3 million a month he's working for, right? If I wasn't talking to you all in the live, I could have find his name for you, right? But I'm talking in the live, so he actually have a British flag as his icon, right? It's something Alonso, but Alonso is not his first name, right? And this is recent, you know, this is within the last 6 months, right? Folks, I feel a little believe me, you know. I feel you all don't believe me. Last night I said, you know, I did one last night. Again, I'm setting up my phone. My phone is, there's nothing pre-programmed in it, right? Watch it there, right? I'm going to put here, I'm going to put in it UK. I'm not trying to take you all away from Guyana, right? I just say UK HSE jobs. Another day we'll try Qatar. Another day we'll try Canada, right? Another day we'll try Trinidad. Oh, I think because of the rain. So how do I have internet then? We have the live, but the phone is not. Okay, so I think it finally came up, right? So I'm getting the first one, latest vacancies, right? Please don't take my word for it. Please do this for yourself. Do not believe me. Believe what you're seeing here, right? You know, I did this in Guyana too. That's a funny story, yeah? I was presenting to Miss Barbara and them sometime last year. And in the middle of the presentation, one of the directors in the school asked me, I think I clicked the wrong thing, right? One of the directors asked me to run a search in Guyana to see HSC jobs, right? I think this is just latest vacancies. So I have to zone down to safety. Let me come out of this, right? I probably clicked the wrong one. I'm just going to say HSC jobs with salaries, right? The name of the site is actually Indeed. INDEED. That's the one I'm trying to click. Anyway, as this coming up, I was telling anybody one in Guyana, right? So they pressed the wrong button. Ah, Jesus. So they put in agree, I click not to agree. I guess I might have come out and try it again because I click don't agree to what he was asking for. Anybody have better luck than me? I'm talking to you all now, so my attention is not here. My attention is there. So it's sort of have to do one thing at a time. All right, so I got one to open. Same Indeed. This is a health and safety coordinator position in England. When the class finish tomorrow lunchtime, do this for yourself, right? Do not believe what I am telling you. The location is London, right? With your NEBOSH, the version of NEBOSH you all are doing is the same one that they're doing in England. Remember last night I tell you the one that School of Nations doing. You cannot go elsewhere with that one. Nation is doing a version of NEBOSH, but it's like a watered down version of NEBOSH. It's only like for this, like this part of the world then. But what I offer, I think I told you that last night, I'm offering the full program. Meaning it's good in Trinidad, it's good in Guyana, it's good in Canada, it's good in England, it's good in the Middle East, right? So I click it, I wanted to see what they were asking for, but it asked them to sign in. Let me see, show more. Okay, show more. Okay, I was able to say, did you all copy down the site? Anybody site is Indeed. Look it up there, Indeed. Another day we'll do Trinidad, another day we'll do Guyana. But let's see how much money you could work for. This is some experience, and I have a student who went across there. And not just the one I'm talking about, right? Not, I mean, I have other students, right? I'll share their story another day, right? So if you could find that one, I'm trying to find what you're looking for. What are the requirements? I'll probably pass it because, again, I'm trying to talk to you all and look for it at the same time, right? I'm trying to see where they had the qualification, what were they asking for, right? I'm not able to see it. Or at least it probably not published on this job site anyway. Or I have to read this until I could find it, right? So you would probably have better luck than me. I'm not seeing where they highlight what qualification they're looking for. Contract type, right? I'm not seeing it on this one. But like I said, that's because I'm trying to hold your attention and do this in a live session at the same time, right? Let me try another one. I just want to try another one. I think I'm kind of familiar with this site. It's asking to open now because just now I didn't click open. So I have to open it and then I have to click show more or something like that, right? So can you all do that for me? Like in your free time and see what they are asking for. I'm trying to show you something if I could make that point, but it's not probably in the live. Like I said, I have to read through this here. I have to read through that to see what they're asking for, right? But talking and reading then is a bit distracting. I'm trying to see if I could find the qualification that they are asking for, right? And talking to you all and trying to do it at the same time, I am not fully focused on that then, right? But as I was saying, when I did this in Guyana, of course it wasn't a UK-based site. I was surprised to see NEBOSH, right? In fact, Robert was right there. He was sitting right there. And we were all surprised to see NEBOSH because here the thing, that was actually the first time we were doing it in Guyana. This is some years ago, right? And we saw NEBOSH and we were so surprised because the companies there then seemed to suggest that they were still looking for the NEBOSH. Okay, look, I found one. I had to really read. Talking to you, I'll show you see a reading here, right? So this is a health and safety assistant. I hope I don't lose it. Oh Lord. Okay. Health and safety assistant. So as I see, it asked me to continue with Google and stuff, right? So as I was going down, I managed to make out the word NEBOSH. Okay, look at here, right? About you. What would they say, right? What would they say? About you. See if you can read that for yourself there. Qualified to what? Qualified to? You all seen it? Could somebody read it for me so I know you're seeing it? Qualified to?
General, right? I'm seeing general.
Oh,
Hello?
did it change back here? You can read it for me? Sorry. Qualified to?
Qualified to NEBOSH general, but I'm
Yeah.
always general. Certificate
And
in
what are you all doing? What course are you all doing? The one from Nations or you're doing the general certificate? Which one are you all doing? You all are doing the general certificate. I said that last. And NG, the general certificate, right? So not qualified to TBOSH, not qualified to the University of Guyana, not qualified to Shadrach. I told you we giving you all the real qualification, right? So qualified to NEBOSH general certificate. That's what you all are doing. We not since I have been in business more than this going in 15 years now. I have never offered the qualification that would keep people in the region here. Yes, Trinidad is asking for NEBOSH. Guyana is asking for NEBOSH. Grenada is asking for NEBOSH. But I give you the one that is asked for here, but you can take it up from there in Guyana and you can go England. You can take it up and you can go India. You can take it up and you can go to the Middle East. You can take it up and come to Trinidad if you feel that is kind of safe. You can take it and go Nigeria. We giving you, we accessing you, right? You have to pass though. Remember, I can't give you the cert, but we offering you all the same opportunity to study as somebody studying in England. Think you understand that, folks? Yeah. So you see the importance of your course. Again, if I had more time, I would have shared more with you. I have a lot of jobs I could share with you now, but they are jobs from Trinidad. I don't know if I have the time, and time is what I do now. Like if I have the time, I could find some like in Guyana, and I could share that with you as well anyway. Right? All right, folks. I think we're gonna have to stop here. So this extra kind of pep talk took up the time for the hazard, right? So next week, Tuesday, it's 7:30. We're gonna have to finish it next week, Tuesday. like I said, there's always a need
Isn't it
to see
Monday?
what it is you're doing. Yes.
Monday, not Tuesday.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. Next week, Monday, yes. Because I see you all twice a the week. Actually, what happens, right? We see our Trinidad students once for the week, but we see Guyana students twice for the week, right? So next week, Monday, we'll take it up right here. And then we are going to move into, those of us in the textbook, you're going to do two things Monday. You're going to move into the next thing in your book, those of us who have it. And if you don't have it, it's on this slide here. We're going to move into what is called the moral reason for managing health and safety. That's next week, Monday, because this wouldn't take long. This is about 10, 15 minutes. And we could even do financial. We'll skip legal. Legal will be Tuesday night. Legal is kind of long, right? So we're going to do moral and we're going to do financial. I'll explain this on Monday, right? What they say is that there are three reasons to manage health and safety. One of them is a moral reason, one of them is a financial reason, and one of them is a legal reason. We can do moral and financial on Monday, and we're gonna leave legal for Tuesday night, right? All right, folks, let's stop the recording here. Hopefully you all appreciated a little extra. That's all about why we are doing what we are doing.